Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. I hope you are having a great summer so far. Now that we are almost to the end of June, kind of crazy how doing lots of swimming, Peter, trying to stay cool in this hot weather. So we have been talking about the life of Solomon, and we actually ended last week with Solomon passing away. But we had talked about how at the end of his life, he had let people lead him astray. People had turned his heart from following God as number one to following other gods. So we said his son Rehoboam is going to become king. But we had also talked about, as we try to set the framework here, two if-then statements, that if he didn't follow God, God was going to take the kingdom from him. But then we left off with saying his son was made king. So that is where we're at, and I will tell you the title of today's lesson is The Kingdom Divided. The Kingdom Divided. Well, let's look at chapter 12, verse 1. We're in 1 Kings. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt. That they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, so Jeroboam comes back to Israel, and he is one who had been an adversary of Solomon in the last chapter. We just hadn't hit on that too much. But when Solomon dies, the people of Israel go to Egypt. They say, hey, Solomon died. Why don't you come back? So Jeroboam goes with the people, and he's going to talk to Rehoboam, who is the king, the son of Solomon. Verse 3. That they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation, we just read that, verse 4, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. So they said, all right, your dad made us work hard. It was grievous. It was hard work. Will you make it lighter for us? Will you make it better? And Rehoboam says, all right, I have to think on this. Come back and see me in 3 days. So he's going to say, come back, see me. So Rehoboam goes to the older men, the wise council, and he asks, what should I do? What is it that I should do for the people? And they actually suggest that he make it lighter, that he not make it as difficult on the people. Verse 6, and King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, how do ye advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them and answer them and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. Okay, so he hears from the old men. Then he goes and talks to the young men. Verse 10, and the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us? Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And now whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So he goes to get the counsel from the older men, the wise men who've been around a while, and they said, yeah, go ahead, lighten up. They will serve you forever if you treat them well. And then he hears that counsel, and then he goes to his friends, the people who grew up with him, and he gets their counsel. They're like, oh, make it harder, make it harder, make it harder. Boys and girls, who do you think Rehoboam's going to listen to? Yeah, he's not going to be wise on this one. He is going to listen to the young men. In 3 days, when Jeroboam and the people come back, how do you think they receive that news? Yeah, they are not, they want to push him away. They're like, this isn't right. This isn't good. This isn't what we want. Verse 20, and it came to pass when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. So the kingdom is divided. The nation of Israel is going to follow Jeroboam, and the tribe of Judah is still going to follow Rehoboam. So David's line will have one tribe that's following, but the rest are going to follow Jeroboam. Rehoboam gathered the people to go to war against Israel. When he finds this out, he's upset by this. God sends the man of God to tell Rehoboam and the people to not fight, that it would not be a good idea for Israel and Judah to war, and the people actually listen and they go back home. Jeroboam, though, is afraid of losing his power. Okay, he's afraid that his power is going to be taken away from them. So he thinks if the people go back to worship with the tribe of Judah at the temple, that then they're going to stop following Jeroboam. He says if they go back there to worship, they're going to stop following me. So we know there's only one God, right? And we know that Solomon found himself in trouble because he stopped following the one God and he started following other gods. Well, unfortunately, Jeroboam didn't learn too much from that. Jeroboam actually makes golden calves. Verse 25, then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. Verse 28, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. He takes 2 calves, golden calves, makes these 2 golden calves, and he says, look, people, this is what brought you up out of Egypt. Boys and girls, have we not heard of a golden calf before? And then they had to melt it down and drink the water, and yeah. Have they not learned? Like, how many times is it going to take them? Well, boys and girls, how many times does it take us to obey sometimes? We don't always learn the first time we're told something either. Well, Jeroboam makes the calves. He tells the people that that's who brought them out of Egypt. Boys and girls, is that really who brought them out of Egypt? No, absolutely not. The God in heaven did. The God that we worship, that we have the privilege of worshiping. Jeroboam hasn't really learned anything from Solomon at this point. Jeroboam is leading people to sin against God by worshiping idols. This is not good. Okay, the tribes who are following him are now worshiping idols. But what about Rehoboam? Was he wise to listen to the counsel of the young men? He had the old men who were giving him wise counsel, and he chose to listen to the young men. Now, there are some young people who have great ideas, boys and girls, but there is truth and there is principle, and the Bible tells us in Proverbs the benefit of listening to people who've lived longer than we have lived. They know a lot more than we do. Who should he have listened to? Rehoboam should have listened to the old men. Rehoboam, like his father Solomon, let the people around him influence him. How are you doing in that area? Are you surrounding yourself with people who are influencing you to do what's right? Or are you surrounding yourself with people who are influencing you to do what's wrong? We talked about it last week and then again this week. The people around us influence us. Who are we letting influence us? And how are we influencing those around us? Talked about the people who are influencing us, but what are you doing to influence those around you? Do you pull people up, or are you someone who pulls people down? Boys and girls, I hope you're surrounding yourself with good influences, and I hope you are being a good influence as well.